The Insiders, Darren Dreger, Pierre LeBrun, and Chris Johnson, day 2 of the NHL Board of Governors meetings. And, gentlemen, when you're walking around the halls at the Board of Governors, you tend to have some interesting conversations like the one you had with Jeff Jackson and Connor McDavid's future in Edmonton this morning.
Yeah, part of a larger sit-down interview for a piece in The Athletic later this week. But obviously I had to ask about the franchise, the best player in the world, and we all know that he has 1 year left on his deal after this season. And the reality is, as Jeff Jackson said, they have not started any type of contract negotiation or conversation yet on that front. Can't sign until July 1st anyway. But it's very similar, I think, to the pattern we saw with Leon Draisaitl a year ago, in which Leon Draisaitl wanted to focus on hockey, wanted to focus on the season before getting into it after the year. And that's the sense now that we get with Connor McDavid, that there's no hurry to get into this. There's a season to play out. There's a focus on getting back, hopefully for the Oilers, to a Stanley Cup final. And then everyone involved is comfortable having that conversation. And one thing that Jeff Jackson reiterated is July 1st is not a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Whether an extension can get done and whether it gets done July 1st or later in the summer, so be it. Everyone should calm down in Oiler Nation and realize it'll get done. And when it gets done, obviously that's what Oilers fans hope.
And good news for Connor McDavid, because as he's looking for his extension, that big deal, there may be more money available because, CJ, we could be ready to see the single biggest increase in the salary cap since pre-COVID days.
Well, could is the operative word here, because the existing agreement right now between the players and the owners is that it would go up 5%, that being the cap for next year. So that takes you to a $92 million cap next season. But because we're on the verge here of collective bargaining talks beginning in the new year with the players and owners, there's the possibility that perhaps instead of waiting for the system to sort of reset itself and getting one big jump, that they could negotiate a softer launch up. And so I think that will actually be a huge discussion point. I mean, today it's part of what's being discussed at the Board of Governors meeting, just how that might work and those talks might go. But for a player like McDavid or Kirill Kaprizov or other big-name players that want to sign, I don't think any team's going to be able to sign them until those players have clarity on where the cap's going, what the new CBA might look like. And so there's a lot of moving parts on the business end of the league right now.
The potential of the cap going up just reiterates the fact that the revenues are increasing, which makes franchises more valuable, which makes them that much more attractive. So people are interested in expansion, Dregs. Every time we have these meetings, the E word comes up.
Yeah, you can't escape a Board of Governors meeting here in Florida without talking about expansion. And you'll get the eye roll from Commissioner Gary Bettman, of course. But look, when you talk to some of the owners, the governors who represent their clubs here, they do feel that further expansion is inevitable. What they don't know is, what does the timeline look like on that? For example, I mean, there is a group here representing Atlanta, the interests of Atlanta, nothing formal, but making sure that they're getting in front of the right influential owners, let's say, just to make sure that everybody understands that the interest is real and the opportunity in and around Atlanta is real. But then the obvious questions come up beyond that. So if expansion is inevitable, how many years from now doesn't matter? Are you talking about 2 teams? Are you going from 32 to 34? And then if that happens, obviously you finally have to address the matrix of the playoffs. 16 teams isn't going to cut it. Do you go to 20? And good luck getting an answer that matters out of Commissioner Bettman on that, because we know he pushes back hard.
And I think, Drex, to your point, sorry, CJ, one of the reasons why expansion isn't officially in the agenda this week, and it is not. Now, I think Gary Bettman may remind owners in the meeting today, we continue to get expressions of interest. It's what he continues to say. But the reason that they can't dive in further, to your point, is a very practical one. They got to get a CBA done.
Yes.
From a point of view of energy and focus and league staff, CBA has to be the only focus until you get to the expansion. So it's one foot in front of the other.
And the reason it will happen, though, that next fee is going to be monumental. I mean, some people say $2 billion. I don't know if it'll get to that level, but that's the reason it's happening eventually. It's just going to take some time.
All right, that's the early version of Insider Trading. The full version of IT is coming up later today on SportsCenter.